Hey guys, Mark Allen here for BH Spring Solutions LLC and bhspringsolutions.com. Today we are doing a video because of a service alert that we issued regarding the Tisas Regent BR9 Turkish-made high-power pistol. I've got a frame with the fire control group out of it here. The reason for this service alert, the latest one, is this OEM Sear spring. That is what this is it's called a Sear spring. And it's a flat metal spring, and this spring is responsible for holding the sear in place. When it becomes too weak, it doesn't hold the sear in place, and it can act like a happy switch or a full auto switch, and it can cause the hammer to follow the slide forward. It can cause more than one round to fire per trigger pull, which obviously that's a big risk. We don't want to have that happening. We've stripped out the fire control group because what we wanted to show you is how this spring fits into the pistol, and it fits just like that. It has a button on this end, and you see how that button fits in there nice and it's flush and everything. The problem that has been encountered with some users of the Tisas Regent BR9 pistol is after about 6 months, what we've had reported to us, they start to notice a very lighter trigger pull. That lighter trigger pull turns out to be that these OEM Sear springs are just going away very, very fast. The most recent customer of ours, what he related to us is he started noticing the trigger pull after about 6 months and a few hundred rounds was getting very light. He measured the trigger pull and it was 4.5 pounds. Now, 4.5 pound trigger pulls on high powers are getting into a danger zone of being too light, in the sense that you can start to have that hammer following the slide. You can start to get unpredictable full auto function. So he noticed that, and his trigger pull is about 4.5 pounds, and a few weeks later he started noticing the trigger felt like it was getting even lighter. He measured it and it was 3.5 pounds, and sure enough, when he would release the slide stop with the slide locked back and feed dummy rounds out of a magazine into the chamber, he was getting the hammer following the slide home, and that of course would cause full auto function. Now here's the problem he encountered is there is some availability still of FN Browning Sear springs for the traditional operating system. The problem with this is, and you can eyeball this and see it, the buttons at the bottom are not the same size, and consequently the FN Browning Sear spring, if we can get any kind of a good look at this, and we're going to show you, does not mount where that button is fully seated. It doesn't actually seat at all. The top rounded part of the button gets caught on the frame area. So this is going to require either a modification of the frame or a modification of the Sear spring in order to get an FN Browning Sear spring to fit in the Tisas pistol. So our customer had a problem. There are no replacement Sear springs. His Sear spring was obviously shot after a very short amount of time, and so he had no solution. His pistol at this point was not usable. What we have done at BH Spring Solutions is we have come up with an advanced Sear spring optimization kit. Looks like this. It comes with 2 Sear springs, and we're going to demonstrate and show you the use for these 2 different Sear springs, but you're going to notice these are redesigned Sear springs. These are compatible with your Tisas pistol and with all high power clones, the Browning high power, the FN high power, and these have a unique feature in the design. The fire control group does not need to be disassembled and removed in order to remove the Sear spring, as we're going to show you. Typically, you have to kind of do this balancing act with the high power pistol when you put the Sear spring in, and this new advanced Sear spring solves this. Now, this service alert is does not apply to folks who have put the SFS system or fast safety system in your Tisas pistol. You've replaced your Sear spring. You're not using this OEM Sear spring. And of course, the dilemma with this Sear spring, since now these are appearing to go away as far as their effectiveness within a rather short amount of time, Tisas owners are going to need a solution for this. Typically, FN Browning parts, many of them interchange into the Tisas pistol quite well. FN Browning is no longer supplying and bringing any more parts into the United States, and Tisas, I don't know if they have any parts or not. But the FN Browning Sear spring is not a Sear spring that's a good replacement in the Tisas pistol. So Tisas pistol owners need a reliable Sear spring. Now, about this phenomena of seeing these Sear springs going away in a matter of 6 months or 9 months, this is unheard of in the high power pistol. Your FN Browning Sear springs, these advanced Sear springs that we now have in a kit form, these are the same Sear springs used with the SFS system. These have been in use for over 25 years, and literally failures of these springs is almost unheard of when the springs are less than 30 years old. And we're also issuing a service alert for all Sear springs in all high power pistols, recommending replacement of your Sear spring if your high power is more than 30 years old. So that gives you an idea of what the longevity is usually expected to be like of these Sear springs. So hearing this and witnessing it on the Tisas OEM Sear springs, this is kind of unprecedented, but it's an easy to fix thing. And we're going to show you how the advanced Sear springs optimizing kit from BH Spring Solutions for your FN Browning high power, all your high power clones, including the Tisas pistol, actually makes a very, very nice upgrade. We're going to show you that here in just a moment. First thing you're going to notice is it is going to make the reassembly of the traditional operating system slightly easier, and it's going to make getting the Sear spring in and out much easier as well. We're going to go ahead and set our hammer assembly, and again, this is traditional operating system, not the SFS system. So we're going to go ahead and reassemble the traditional operating system here real quickly. And that is done just like this. We put our hammer assembly in. We're going to line up the hole in the hammer with the frame hole, like you see it right there. Now we're going to situate our ejector adjacent to the hammer, get its hole just like that, and leave it turned at kind of a 90. Take our safety, and it's going to slide right down in, and we're going to push the plunger just in and pull the safety down, and it's seated in place. And now from here, all we need to do is set our Sear. Now normally we would put our Sear spring in place. We will not need to do that at this point with the advanced Sear springs that we're going to be using. And I'm going to try to do a balancing act here and show you how to easily go ahead and put your Sear in place. It helps to have these magnets. And we're going to put our Sear into place just like that. And from here we should be able to bring our Sear pin from the other side. We'll get it through the Sear like that, and wiggle our ejector just a little bit maybe. From here you want to push your Sear just like that, and your hammer is now going to stay back. And we've got that Sear pin, we want it to be flush right there with the frame. When we do this, we're taking pressure off of that Sear and that Sear pin, and there we go. Now we can get it flush with the frame. It's in perfect shape. Again, I'm pushing the Sear back. the hammer stays in place. Now from here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take one of these Sear springs. You notice there are two. In the kit, there are guidelines for choosing among these two Sear springs for your optimal Sear spring. It shows you that there are two. One is called a Type 2 Sear spring. One is called an optimized Sear spring. Tells you about the two Sear springs, the guidelines for their use. One thing that you're going to need is you're going to need a trigger pull scale, as you're going to see here in just a moment. But we're going to start always with the Type 2 or heavy Sear spring. And we're going to put it in and test it first. And I want to show you just how simple this is. If we can get a picture up the grip frame here, right there we see the Sear. And what we're going to do is we're going to come from the underneath side just like this, take our thin end, and we want to just put that right under the Sear, just like that. And if we can see that in our video, you're going to see that that Sear spring is right under the Sear and it's pressed all the way forward. From here, we're going to press down in the middle, press down at the bottom, and we see we have a tip here at the bottom, just like that. And now I'm pressing downward with the spring this way, and it just locked in place. And that's all there is to it. To take this spring out, all we need to do is press from one side, just like that, and it will pop right back out. And it pops right back in the pistol. This is really new and advanced for a lot of guys that have been working with the high power for years, this idea of popping that Sear spring in and out just that easily. So now from here, we're going to go ahead, put our slide on the pistol. This is our extended slide stop. You don't need to have your slide locked back in order to install it, as you just saw. Now we want to know about this trigger pull. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a quick pull test. Okay, and I'm pulling 7.5 pounds. That's a little on the heavy side for me. I've got a wide trigger on here. It doesn't feel terrible, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to put our optimized Sear spring in. And I'm going to show you just how fast this is. One of our recent customers put this very same spring in his Tisas. He has a 6.25 pound trigger pull. He loves it, and he's staying with the Type 2 Sear spring. For my own personal taste, 7.5 pounds, that's a little bit on the heavy side. So we're going to go ahead and try the optimized Sear spring. The difference in these springs is we have this bend or angle in the middle of the Sear spring of the heavy spring. You see the profile is a little different, and we don't have that in the optimized spring. We call this a light. This is a heavy, or the technical Type 2 and optimized. So now we're going to go ahead, we're going to try the little lighter version in the Tisas and see how that works. Again, we're coming from the bottom of the grip frame, going for the area under the Sear, like that. And we're there. Again, pressing down in the middle, at the bottom, and downward, just like that. And it pops right in. So now, we're going to go ahead, put our slide back on. Our slide stop. That's noticeably a lighter trigger pull. Let's see what the scale thinks. And we are right at 5 7/8 to 6 pounds on that trigger pull, and it feels very nice actually. Remember, we were 7.5 initially, and now we're right at it's just a little better than 6 pounds. It'd be 5.875 ish. So not bad. That's how these two advanced Sear springs for high power pistols work. As you saw, they go in and out. very easily. This is a proven product. It's been in use for over 25 years. We've never had anybody or heard of anyone needing to actually replace these. The use of these Sear springs, they were originally developed inside FN in Urstal, Belgium, and they're now a BH Spring Solutions product and imported from Belgium. And these are the advanced Sear springs for high power. If you have any high power pistol and it is more than 30 years old and you still are using your original Sear spring, we encourage you replace that Sear spring, and either do that if you have the traditional operating system. We have the original OEM Sear springs, but we would really encourage you to take a look at the advanced Sear springs for high power. They come in 2 in a pack, a heavy, a light. We call them a type 2 and an optimized. And you saw how easy these are to work with, and quite effective in giving you about 1.5 pounds to a little bit more range between the two Sear springs. There are dimensional differences in high power pistols from one manufacturer to the other and one generation to another, and sometimes this type 2 Sear spring is preferable. And sometimes the optimized Sear spring in some models is really gets too light. That's going to vary from pistol to pistol. Our guidelines will guide you through it from step to step, and keep your high power pistol running beautifully. At this time, this is the only Sear spring solution for the Tisas pistols with the OEM Sear springs that seem to be going away in a very short amount of use. Thanks for watching.